Ukraine remembers its dead as war enters a fifth year. For years since Russia launched its full-scale invasion, people across Ukraine have remembered their dead from a war which shows no sign of ending. As the conflict enters a fifth year, the Ukrainian military continues to resist being overrun by Russian forces, but military losses are mounting on both sides and Ukraine's population faces near-daily aerial attacks. On Tuesday, Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine never chose this war, adding, "We have defended our independence, we have not lost our statehood." The Kremlin, which believed it could capture Kyiv within days, acknowledged its war aims haven't been fully achieved yet and said it intended to continue attacking Ukraine. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov repeated a frequent Kremlin accusation that Western support for Ukraine had enlarged the conflict, turning it into a confrontation between Russia and the West. Russia now controls just under 20% of Ukraine, but the Ukrainian military has prevented it from capturing the entirety of the eastern Donbas region. A minute's silence at 1000 brought Kyiv to a halt on a somber day for the country, though one on which a sense of solidarity was palpable. In the city's Maidan square, where a growing host of flags has commemorated the dead since the launch of Russia's full-scale invasion, banners and heads were lowered as people stood in silent contemplation. Surrounded by the glowing 11th-century mosaics of the Cathedral of St Sophia, in the heart of the capital, Zelensky and his wife Olena led a prayer service. The Ukrainian president was accompanied by some of his most ardent European supporters, including Finland's Alexander Stubb, Sweden's Ulf Kristersson and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. In Bucha, a town west of the capital that in 2022 witnessed some of the worst horrors that have accompanied Russia's invasion, a steady stream of people laid flowers on the black granite headstones of soldiers. "The war has taken a lot of lives," observed a man called Valentyn, who had come to visit the graves of fallen comrades. "Unfortunately for us it's too many," he said. "No one thought it would last this long." Across the vast country there are many places like this, where photographs of the fallen stand alongside thousands of Ukraine's blue and white flags fluttering in the breeze. The war has touched everyone in Ukraine, in so many different ways, from losses on the battlefield, to the scattering of families, and the search for warmth and light in the midst of Russia's winter bombardments. In Zelensky's lengthy morning video address, the Ukrainian president was seen striding through subterranean corridors of the presidential palace in central Kyiv, underground passages lined with pipes and cables, reminiscent of Winston Churchill's World War II offices in London. Acknowledging the staggering loss of life Ukraine has endured, Zelensky said, "We have every right to say we have defended our independence, we have not lost our statehood. Ukraine exists not just on the map." The video offered a rare glimpse of the world where the president and his staff have spent much of their time since February 2022. "This is where I held my first conversations with world leaders at the start of the war," Zelensky said as he walked along echoing underground passages. Back then, many thought Zelensky's days were numbered and that Ukraine would fall. Instead, 4 years on, Ukraine continues to hold its own against Russian troops across the east of the country, at an ever-increasing cost of manpower and resources for Moscow. A meeting of the so-called Coalition of the Willing was also held on Tuesday, with many leaders dialing in to Kyiv. Led by Britain and France, the coalition currently numbers around 35 countries, some of which say they are willing to deploy troops to Ukraine to ensure any potential ceasefire holds. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, speaking via video link, told fellow leaders it was wrong to think that Russia holds the upper hand. Over the past year, Starmer said, Russia took 0.8% of land in Ukraine at a terrible cost to themselves of 500,000 losses. However, French President Emmanuel Macron acknowledged the glacial pace of peace negotiations, saying he was very skeptical about the possibility of achieving peace in the short term in Ukraine. "Let's be lucid. There is no willingness on the Russian side to have a peace and, by the way, to have a robust and solid peace as we see it on our side," he said. Speaking at a board meeting of Russia's security service on Tuesday, Putin made no substantial reference to the war but claimed without evidence that the UK and France are plotting to arm Ukraine with a nuclear bomb. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service SVR earlier released a statement claiming that Paris and London believe there is no chance of achieving their much-desired victory over Russia and were therefore helping Ukraine acquire a nuclear weapon or dirty bomb. A Downing Street spokesperson described the claims as a clear attempt by Vladimir Putin to distract and said there is no truth to the allegations. Despite several rounds of US-brokered peace talks involving Russian and Ukrainian delegations, a breakthrough still appears far off. Moscow's demand that Ukraine hand over sovereign territory in the east which thousands of Ukrainians have fought and died to protect is unacceptable to many. When it comes to talks, there's one person standing in the way of progress, Sir K.